Hi girls, so I hope you all are aware that we are in your third unit, that is in strategic management, that is strategic planning. So in your Zoom classes we've covered till the previous slide, which is brief overview of innovation. So today in this class we will continue with the next topic, that is integration. Now what is integration? Integration is derived from the Latin word integer, meaning whole or entire, generally means combining parts so that they work together from a whole. Okay, so you are integrating various activities. So a company performs, basically a company here will perform a number of activities to transform input and output. Okay, so basically these activities will include right from the procurement of raw material to the production of finished goods and their marketing, distribution to the ultimate consumers. So from where does it start? These activities will start from the time you are bringing in raw materials to the company. From the time you are carrying out production of the raw materials, you're converting it into finished goods, then you're marketing it and distributing it to the ultimate consumers. Till then the integration will continue. Now integration is of two types, that is horizontal integration and vertical integration. In your horizontal integration, this is kind of a long-term strategy of an organization or a business in order to enhance their growth, okay, in order to survive in a particular market. So what they do in horizontal integration is basically they acquire one or more similar kind of firms which are operating at the same stage of production and marketing stage. Okay, suppose I have a company and you have a company, and we have a company which is operating at the same marketing or a production stage, so we tend to acquire that particular company. Why are we doing this? Basically we are doing this to increase our marketing, increase our market share. Okay, and we are acquiring a similar company, and we are also by doing this we are increasing our market share, we are increasing our market segment, we are increasing the kind of range of products that we are actually offering to the customers. Okay, now next, moving on, we have integration. Horizontal integration could also be either acquisition or merger and acquisition. Okay, next, what is next in type of integration is vertical integration. Now vertical integration is the strategy of a particular company. Now what is this vertical integration in terms of strategic management is, here there will be a particular company or a business which is taking up, here a business will take over a company. Okay, will take complete control over one or more stages of production. Okay, a particular business is taking complete control over one or more stages of production. It could be stages of production or it could be stages of distribution of a particular product. For example, it will be raw material. Okay, so you're taking complete control of one or more stages of production or distribution, that is, for example, a raw material. Okay, here again it's similar to horizontal integration. A company is increasing their market share, they are offering large variety of products and services, they're expanding their firms, okay, reducing their risk, etc. Now next you have types of vertical integration. Now there are basically three types of vertical integration, that is backward integration, forward integration and balanced integration. When you're talking about backward integration, as I told you all, backward integration, vertical integration here is a strategy of a particular company to take over one or more areas of production or distribution, stages of production or distribution. Similarly, when you're talking about backward integration, it occurs when the company acquired to supply the firm with products, components or raw materials. Okay, here it is happening when the companies are acquired to supply the firm with products, components and raw materials. Three things to keep in mind. Now also, how does this work is basically backward integration. The best example is Amazon. Okay, Amazon here is a kind of an app wherein you have access to books also, wherein you can buy books. Now now on Amazon, if the books are available, there are basically people who are making it available to Amazon, right? They are suppliers, they are publishing companies, they are sellers who are making the books available. Okay, they are publishing the books. So Amazon is publishing the books, and they are integrating these book things into their business. Okay, so they are playing the role of a supplier, and they are also selling books, that is publishing company publishes. Okay, now backward integration strategy will only be beneficial if you are going to follow these 6 things, that is whether your firm's current suppliers are unreliable, expensive, or cannot supply the required inputs. Okay, it will be beneficial if you see a firm's current suppliers are unreliable, expensive, or cannot supply the required inputs. There are only few small suppliers but many competitors in the industries. Okay, only few suppliers. You should see who are the suppliers for the particular products you're dealing with and how many competitors are there in the particular industry. The industry is expanding rapidly. You should see if the particular industry is expanding rapidly, what is the growth strategy they are using. The prices of inputs are unstable. Okay, and suppliers can earn high profits margins. A company has necessary resources and capabilities to manage the new business, to see whether the company has necessary resources and whether they have capability to manage the new business. Now let's move on to forward integration. What is forward integration? Here, when the business tries to control the post production area. What is this post production area? It is basically your distribution network. For example, you can take an example of any mobile company opening its retail chain. Okay, can you see OnePlus having a retail chain of its own? So you can take mobile companies example. For example, you can take Samsung has a lot of mobile retail chains, right, which has been opened because here the company engages in if it is a manufacturing company, it is engaging itself in sales and after sales service. Now what is this after sales service? Is basically once you're selling the particular product, you're not just leaving the customer, you will continuously keep in touch with the customer, asking if how is the product doing well, and in case if the product breaks or something, you will give 1 year of warranty, you will give free repair service for the first time, and all of this you are catching up with the particular customer. So this will also again give you a large market share and will help you achieve a greater economic scale. Now this strategy will also be effective only when you follow these following things. That is, few quality distributors are available in the industry. Distributors or retailers have high profit margins. Okay, distributors are very expensive, unreliable, or unable to meet firms' distribution needs. Now for example, here you can take OnePlus. OnePlus is mostly widely available on Amazon. It was launched on Amazon first, right? So you have only few quality distributors that are available in industry. Distributors or retailers have high profit margins. Okay, whoever the distributor or retailer is, he has the high profit margin. And also distributors are very expensive, unreliable, or unable to meet firms' distribution needs. Okay, now next you have the industry is expected to grow significantly. Yes, here the industry in the forward integration, it is expected to grow significantly. There are benefits of stable production and distribution. The company has enough resources and capabilities to manage with the new business. Now next, let's move on to balanced integration. What do you think a balanced integration is? Yes, you got it right. It is just a combination of backward and forward integration. Okay. Here a balanced strategy is basically to take advantage of both the worlds, that is backward integration and the forward integration. Now let's move on to the next topic, that is diversification. What is diversification? Diversification is basically a process of entry into a new business in the organization. Okay, either market wise or technology wise or both. You're either entering into a particular business or organization either through your market or either bringing in new technology. In this way you are diversifying, okay, market wise or technology wise. Now many organizations will adopt a diversification strategy. Why are they adopting it? Basically they are adopting it to reduce their risk, okay, and also to capitalize their strengths of the organization. Diversification may be the only strategy that can be used if the existing process of an organization is discontinued due to environment and regulatory factors. Okay, as we all know, you have environmental factors, that is the external factors, internal factors which are affecting, you have regulatory factors, you have law and order, all of these factors which will actually affect the working of the particular business. Now, what is the reason for this particular diversification? Your diversification actually means you're not pulling in all eggs into one basket. Okay, you're diversifying your risk. Now, for the first one, you have decline of current business. Okay, decline of current business is basically you will the manner in which you are going ahead with a particular business. Okay, suppose if you have a current business and if you have a new business, and now you're mainly focusing on the new business. Okay, so you are declining your current business. Okay, because of this you will go in for diversification. Next, you will have better opportunities. Then you will see there are various benefits for integration. You will have consolidation as your benefit, which will be getting. Okay, and you will also look into competitive strategy when you're going in for diversification. Now, what are the risks for diversification are basically you're not guaranteed success because there are huge losses and you tend to neglect your old business and retaliation of move by competitors. Okay, basically your competitiveness, competitors are more, and they have great competitive strategies, and competition is one such risk. Now, when do you have to diversify? Okay, not every time you have to diversify. There are various times when you have to diversify. Now, when we'll look into when we can diversify, when the company has extraordinary growth, when you have portfolio of diverse business. Okay, when you have diversification, uncertain environment, when you have uncertain environment wherein you can see the external factors which are influencing a particular organization, or if you see the internal factors affecting the organization, if you see the firm's resources are being exploited, or in case if you have surplus resources, this is the time when you need to diversify. Now next, let's move on to types of diversification. Types of diversification, you have concentric diversification, conglomerate diversification, concentration diversification, vertical expansion, and horizontal expansion. Now, what is this concentric diversification? Here, concentric diversification is mostly adopted by an organization when it takes up an activity that relates to the characteristics of the current business activity. Okay, it will basically take up only when the activities are relating to the current business activity. The organization will basically prefer to diversify concentrically, either in terms of customer groups, customer functions, alternative technologies, or etc. It is also called as, this concentric diversification is also called as related strategy, wherein you're relating your organization with your current business activities. You're relating your current business activities. Okay, next let's move on to conglomerate diversification. What is conglomerate diversification? Conglomerate diversification is basically unlike concentric diversification. In conglomerate diversification, what is happening is basically here the organization is taking up the activity which will not relate to any of the characteristics of the current business activity. What if the particular organization has a current business activity? It is not taking under any activity which is similar to its current business activity. Whereas in concentrics, you are taking into consideration similar activities, right? But in conglomerate diversification, you are not taking similar activities. The organization here will choose to diversify conglomeratically, either in terms of customer groups, customer functions, or alternative technologies of the organization. Just like concentric diversification was called as related strategy, conglomerate is just the opposite, which is called as unrelated diversification. Next, you have concentration. What is this concentration? You can either call it as concentration or concentric expansion. Okay, concentric expansion strategy is a first route towards growth in expanding the present line of activities in the organization. If you want to expand your activities in the organization, this concentration is the first step which you can use to achieve growth. Now, the present line of activities in an organization indicates that there is real growth potential in the present activities, right? So concentration of these resources for present activity means there is strategy for growth. You're planning out strategy for growth. So for this concentration thing, you are planning out strategies for your growth. You are going in for expansion of your current activities. So this has basically two types of expansion. As you all can see, it is vertical expansion and horizontal expansion. These are two strategies in terms of concentration. Okay, now what is vertical expansion? Vertically, you're now you know the meaning of what is vertical and what is horizontal, right? So vertically, you are expanding. Organization adopts vertical expansion when it takes other activity to make its own supplies. They are making its own, when they are taking other activities but making its own supplies. Okay, vertical expansion reduces cost. It gains control over a limited resource and obtains access to potential customers. You are taking in control of supplies, okay, by taking into consideration your resources. Next, horizontal expansion. Now, what is this horizontal expansion? Is basically your organization will adopt a horizontal growth when it takes over the activity to expand into other geographical locations. Now, as we all know, any organization or any company which is dealing with products and services will want their products and services to be available to other countries or other will want to expand its market share, right? When you want to expand its market share, you will make sure that you are making the product available as per the needs of the particular customer. So this is kind of horizontal expansion wherein you are increasing the range of products and services which are offered to the current markets. Now next you have tests for judging diversification moves. Okay, now what are these tests for judging diversification moves is basically Bettis, Richard and Hall 1981 say that strategists have based diversification decisions on future expectations. Okay, diversification decisions are based on what will be the future expectations. Corporate strategists can make before the fact assessments of whether a particular diversification move is capable of increasing shareholder value by using the following test. Okay, if you want to make sure that your diversification is going to be effective and it is going to be really a success, then you have to take into consideration these following tests, that is attractiveness test, cost of entry test and better off test. Now what is cost of entry attractiveness test is basically to see whether your business is attractive enough, whether which industry you've chosen for diversification is really attractive, whether your produce is constantly good, whether you're getting good return on investment, okay, whether you have favorable competitive conditions, and whether the market environment is conducive to long-term profitability, whether it is good for long-term profitability, to achieve long-term profitability. Okay, next you have cost of entry test. Now what is this cost of entry test? As you know, any organization, if you want to make profits, you have to reduce down the cost. Only when you reduce down the cost, you will set the proper prices for any product, based on which you will reduce cost and increase a lot of profitability. So cost of entry test could either be taken into consideration for an existing business or for a new business, how a particular business wants to come into existence, what are the barriers which are coming into existence for a particular thing. All of this will be taken into consideration. Okay, cost entry also undermines the potential of enhancing the shareholder value for any company, whether how you would, based on your cost entry test, how are you also enhancing the shareholders value. Next you have better off test. Better off test is basically the diversifying company must bring some potential for competitive advantage to company's other businesses. Okay, you have to bring in advantage for the company's other businesses. Now company, if you describe, if it is a particular company, the company will also have a lot of business. Okay, it'll have a lot of variety of product scale, product range, product variety. You will have diversification, integration, all of this. So you will have an advantage to companies other business. The opportunity should create a sustainable competitive advantage. Okay, when you're taking into consider a better off test, the opportunity should create better advantage. Okay, there is also opportunity added to profitability. Now is moves that satisfy all the three tests have the great potential to build shareholder value over the long term. Suppose your diversification is able to pass all the three tests. Okay, if your diversification strategy is able to pass all of these tests, that is attractiveness, that is cost of entry and better off test, then it is a great strategy which you have used in order to survive in the long term and gain profits in your organization. Now, diversification moves that can only pass through one or two tests are highly suspectable, because you're not really sure if these particular diversification tests can actually give you greater success in the upcoming period or not. Okay, next let's move on to diversification strategies. Diversification strategies, here you have a number of strategies. That is strategies for entering into new industries. First one is your strategy for entering into new business. Now, strategy for entering into new business can take any of the following. That is, you are acquiring an existing business, that is in the most popular means, that is diversifying one industry which has advantage into another one. Okay, you can take into merger acquisition. You can but before diversifying, you can conduct the three tests which we just studied, that is attractiveness, cost of entry and better off test, and all of these. Okay, you can also conduct your market research activities, and based on that you can go in for acquisition. Next you have internal startup. Internal startup is diversification through internal startup, involves creating a new company under the corporate umbrella to compete in the desired industry. If you want to compete in a particular desired industry, your diversification through internal startup involve creating a new company. You are creating a new company under the corporate umbrella of a desired industry. Suppose it is automobiles, so you're coming under automobiles only by creating a new industry. A newly formed organization not only has to it to overcome entry barriers, but also has to invest in the new production capacity. Yes, as it is a new company, it has to overcome its entry barriers, because there will be a lot of competition, and it also has to invest in the new production capacity, develop sources of supply. Yes, you have to develop sources of supply because it is completely new, and also attract a lot of customers and grow the customer base. Now, next you have joint ventures. Joint ventures is also one best way to enter into a particular business or enter into a particular industry, wherein you can go in for joint ventures, mergers, acquisitions, and all of these, and based on which you can gain success, and you can also achieve a greater market share. Okay, but before you enter into joint ventures and acquisitions and everything, you need to properly do a market research and see if the particular company which you are planning to enter into a joint venture is doing good, whether it has a good market share, if it is very successful, and all of these. Next, let's move on to related diversification strategies. Related diversification strategies is basically you are diversifying, okay, into business that possess some kind of strategic fit. Okay, now the business as you all know, strategies play an important role for any kind of organization. Now you need to diversify yourself into a business which is strategic fit. Okay, now when you see if it is a strategic fit, you need to again go in for the 3 tests to identify whether how effective the company is, whether you will be able to survive for a long term, whether you will be able to achieve the share value, whether you'll be able to survive, satisfy your shareholders, and all of these. Okay, and also the bigger the strategic fit benefits, the bigger the competitive advantage will be of related diversification. And and as I told you all, the related diversification should also satisfy the better of test, okay, for building the shareholder value. Next, let's move on to unrelated diversification strategies. Unrelated diversification strategies are basically involved diversifying into whatever industries and businesses that hold the promise for attractive financial gain. Okay, pursuing strategic fit relationship, and it's just like it's almost very similar to the related diversification, but a slight different thing is there. Okay. In unrelated diversification, the corporate strategy is to diversify into any industry where top management spots a good profit opportunity. The main aim here is wherein the top management is spotting a very good profit opportunity. The basic premise of unrelated diversification is that any company can be acquired on good financial terms represents a good business to diversify into. Yes, we all know that any company would want to enter it with in partnership or in diversification with a company which has a very good profit, right? So you need to identify the opportunities. Next you have the criteria which is used. Okay, this is not really required. Let me just tell you in brief. Now, under your unrelated diversification strategies, you have a few points, that is companies whose assets are undervalued. Okay, the criteria which is used to identify suitable companies to acquire. Here, the companies whose assets are undervalued. Okay, these are the kind of companies which will be taken into consideration under your unrelated diversification strategies. That is companies whose assets are undervalued, companies that are financially distressed, companies with bright growth prospects but are short on investment. All of these kind of companies will be there under your unrelated diversification strategies. Next, let's move on to divestiture and liquidation strategies. Okay, here liquidation is basically where one company is getting liquidated with the other company. You've all studied what merger, acquisition, and liquidation is, right? So it is similar to any kind of diversification strategy. It is a one good diversification strategy because here you are able to expand your market share, and you have a lot of you are competitive here. Okay, and you will get a long-term growth, and all of these things will be an advantage to your particular business, and you will also be able to shape your business well in the terms of divestiture and liquidation strategies. Now here this is when you look into your textbook, it is a kind of really confusing. So I will explain to you in your own words. So here it says misfits or partial fits cannot be completely avoided. Okay, here it says partial, even if it is slightly if there are any mistakes, it cannot be avoided, because here if those mistakes are avoided, it will become very impossible to predict precisely how getting into a new line of business will actually work out. Okay, so in any business, or slight mistakes are also there when you're in case describing as to how when you're forecasting. Okay, if there are any slight differences also, it will actually work, but here in liquidation strategy it will not work. Okay, now let's move on to the next one, that is liquidation strategies. Devastation and liquidation strategies. We are done with devastation and liquidation strategies. Liquidation strategies. Okay, next is multinational diversification strategies. Last one is multinational diversification strategies. Now in your multinational diversification strategies, what happens here is basically the distinguishing characteristics of a multinational diversification strategy is the diversity of a business and diversity of national markets. Your corporate strategies must conceive and execute a substantial number of strategies, at least one for each industries. Okay, as we all know, there will be multinational companies which will be available, right? Suppose you will have the parent country here and the and the MNCs in the other countries. So you need to diversify your strategies. You need to based on which country you're functioning in, based on that country you need to plan out your strategies in order to achieve the goals and objectives. And but the headquarters, suppose if for example the headquarter is in India, okay, and the multinational companies, its substitutes, its substitute is one in New York, one in Singapore, one in Germany. So the headquarters should have complete control on these particular MNCs. Okay, but they should keep in mind that they should function based on whichever country they are operating in, taking into consideration their culture, their goals, objectives, and all of that. Based on that, they have to function. Next, let's move on to next topic, that is strategic alliance. Okay, strategic alliance is basically the process of mutual agreement. Okay, here you should have mutual agreement between organization to achieve objectives of common interest. Okay, now these can be only obtained by cooperation between the companies. Okay, you can only obtain this by cooperation between the companies. Strategic alliance involves the individual organization to modify its basic business activities into and join in agreement with similar organizations. Just like diversification, you have strategic alliances also, in order to reduce duplication of manufacturing products and improve the performance. Again, you're focusing on improving performance, balancing your how you going to balance your strength and how you're going to achieve the market share. It also provides for the relationship between organizations to plan various strategies and achieving a common goal. You're achieving a common goal over here. Next, you have characteristics of a strategic alliance. Okay, under your characteristics of strategic alliance, you have joint venture based strategic alliances. Under your joint venture based strategic alliances is basically, it is created when two or more firms who are working together to form a new business entity that is separate from its parents. Okay, you have something known as parent country. That is where your headquarters is located. For example, you have American Motors Corporation that has formed a joint venture with the government-owned Beijing Automotive Works, creating a third entity called Beijing Jeep. Okay, so basically they have formed a joint venture with this particular company. Now here a joint venture, as you all know, you are merging with another companies. You are merging. Okay, you are doing this by the methods of merging, wherein one or more company will get merged with other company in order to expand its market share and improve on its operation and take advantage of its resources. Next, you have strategic alliances not based on joint ventures. These are not based on joint ventures, unlike your joint ventures. Okay, it is completely different. Non-joint venture strategic alliances tend to be less stable and they only last for a very little period of time. For example, you have United Airlines and British Airlines who formed a strategic alliance for the purpose of marketing their North American and European routes. Okay, they tried to market their North American and European routes. They did so because they were losing a part of their market share to Delta and American Airlines. Okay, they tried to market because they were losing their market share because Delta and American Airlines had occupied the market share. Next, you have linkages that are not strategic alliances. Now, linkages that are not strategic alliances, basically here it is important to know that not all linkages, national or international business, are strategic alliances. Okay, not all businesses are strategic alliances. Strategic alliances means it is a mutual agreement between organization to achieve objectives of common interest. Two organizations might have just one objective. Okay, it could be either increasing market share or it can be profitability. So they are coming together, or they are entering into mutual agreement to achieve a common goal. Now next you have need for strategic alliances. Why is there a need for strategic alliances? Because you will have a proper business policy, forming alliances, productivity ration, and geographic expansion. You will have a common goal. So these could be the common goals. You will find this is the need and you will enter into the strategic alliance. Next you have the benefits of strategic alliances, that is gaining resources and capabilities. Okay, when two or more companies who have the same objective come together, you will have effective resource utilization, and the capability will also increase because you have manpower, labor, transportation, you will have warehouses and all of these, and it will just be an advantage. Next, you have ease of market entry. Yes, you will have ease of market entry because one company who is mutually getting into an agreement with the other company, this particular company would have a greater market share. Shared risk, basically both the companies will have to distribute and share risk equally, because one company might be newly launched and one company will be existing from a long period of time. It depends on what kind of companies are merging with each other to achieve a common objective. Shared knowledge and expertise. Yes, you will have shared knowledge and expertise because you will have a good competent human resource. Both of the companies will have good competent human resource, and these two companies can share their competent human resource with each other. Easier access to target markets. Next, you have winning the political obstacle and achieving synergy and competitive advantage. Next, you have different stages involved in the strategic alliances. The next different stages which are actually involved in the strategic alliances are strategy development. Okay, you need to develop a particular strategy. Then next is partner assessment, contract negotiation, alliance operation, and alliance termination. Now let's look into what is strategy development. Strategy development is the process of identifying the objectives of forming alliances. What is the main objective to form a particular alliances? Identify what is the objective. Then analyze these objectives. Then find out what will be the advantage if you enter into a particular alliance. Then observe, in case if you enter into an alliance, what will be the issues, what will be the challenges, and the development of resource strategies for this particular production. Okay, next you have partner assessment. You need to analyze and assess your partner before joining into an alliance. Okay, now suppose even if you are given a particular project and there are two people who are selected on a team, will you not analyze your partner whether that particular person will be capable of doing the project or not, whether the entire burden will be on your head or not? So you need to assess the particular partner. You need to analyze the strengths and weaknesses of that particular partner, and you need to understand the motives of the particular partner, whether they have good motives or they have whether they have good intentions towards you or whether they have bad intentions towards you. And based on this, you need to coordinate and come up with a particular alliance. Okay, next one is contract negotiation. Negotiation is wherein two parties are sitting together and entering into mutual agreement. Okay, wherein both are getting equal opportunities, wherein two organizations are negotiating with each other. Okay, the process also includes penalty for poor performance. If one person is not able to, if one organization is not performing properly, they will have penalty which will be given. Okay, based on this negotiation, all the rules and regulations and everything will be formed effectively. Next, you have alliance operation. Alliance operation, this phase involves the commitment of senior management in the organization towards forming alliance. You are forming an alliance. It is the process of identifying the caliber of available resources. What are the available resources and what is the level, what is the impact, what is the authenticity of the available resources to dedicate towards an alliance. Okay, then according to the strategic priorities, the budgets are linked based on what are the resources which are available. Based on this, the budgets are appointed for it and the resources are appointed for it. Next, you have alliance termination. Alliance termination is wherein the particular alliance will come to an end. Okay, ending the alliance between organization wherein the objectives are met. Only after you meet the particular objective, this alliance will come to an end. It is terminated, it is over. Okay, after which the organizations will not have anything to do with each other. So now let's move on to your next topic, that is a stability strategy. What is a stability strategy? A stability strategy refers to a strategy by which by a company where the company stops the expenditure on expansion. Here the company is stopping its expenditure on expansion. In other words, it refers to a situation which is created in a company where the company is not venturing into new markets. Okay, they do not want to venture into new markets, or they do not want to introduce new products. Okay, basically it would have reached introduction maturity growth. Okay, so basically it has reached its growth stage and it does not want to enter into new markets, or it does not want to introduce new markets. So stability strategy is adopted by company due to the following reasons. So these are the reasons why it is adopting the stability strategy. Okay, to consolidate its position. Okay, economy in recession. Basically there is recession in the economy. Recession in the economy means if you've studied about business cycles, you will know there will be recession, there will be recovery, there will be a boom, there will be growth. Okay, so recession is a period where people tend to lose their market share because everything in the economy will be going down. So everything starts falling down in the economy. So based on that, they will not want to enter into a new market. Then based on their balance sheet, if they are incurring losses, or if they do not have proper profits, and the maturity stage, if they once reach to their maturity stage after a thing and expansion, they do not want to exactly expand itself, so they are adopting the stability strategy. They want to stabilize themselves wherever they are. For example, you can see Britannia. Okay, Britannia does not usually come up with new products. They are into the market, they have stabilized themselves, they have maintained a certain market share for themselves. Next, you have stability strategy, types of stability strategy. That is process with caution strategy. Process with caution strategy is basically, here some organization will pursue stability strategy for a temporary period. Okay, they will only pursue with the stability strategy for a temporary period. Why temporary period? Is basically until a particular environment situation changes. For example, here it could be a external environment situation or an internal environment situation wherein you would have any political, social, legal issues or anything as such, or internal environment based on whether it could be your employee, trade union, or anything as such. Okay, which based on this they will for temporary period they will adopt this particular stability strategy. Next, you have no change strategy. They would not want to no change strategy is a decision to do nothing new. Okay, they do not want to do anything new. That is, they do not want to do anything new that is continuous with the current operations. Okay, whatever they are continuing, whatever operations they are continuing, whatever products they are delivering, or whatever products they are producing, they want to continue with the same thing. They don't want to bring nothing new. Okay, they just want to operate in the same environment, because if they will do this because only if there are no significant opportunities. Now, why they are operating in the same thing? Because they do not see any opportunities, or they do not see any threats operating in that particular environment, or if there are no major new strengths and weaknesses within the organization, or in case if there are known competitors, threats or substitutes. They are just functioning normally. They do not have anything like they do not have any tension of new entrants in the market, or any substitutes of products, or they do not have any opportunities, nothing as such. That is why they are not changing the strategy only. Okay. Next, you have profit strategy. Profit strategy is basically how you are enhancing your investments, how you are increasing your return on investment, how you are increasing your profitability position, how you are pricing your product, and how you are cutting down your cost. This is your profit strategy. Next, you have modest growth strategy. Modest growth strategy is how modestly the company is actually growing itself, how it is okay, how it is getting accomplished from the past to now, how it is actually growing. Okay, now why do you want to, what is this modest growth strategy exactly? Basically, if you see for any company which is dealing in sales, okay, they will have certain percentage which will be fixed, that they should achieve this particular target in sales, and in case if a person is achieving that particular target in sales, they will give them bonus and all of these rewards, incentive, etc. So this is a modest growth strategy wherein they want the organization to grow increasingly. Okay, they are at a moderate rate, they want it to grow. They need to have a modest growth. Neither they don't want to be like there is no growth also and there is complete decline. No, they want to be at a modest growth rate. Okay, now what are the reasons to adopt the strategy? Is basically, here when you adopt a modest growth strategy, the risk factor is less, as the incremental growth is not very high. It does not require extraordinary efforts to achieve growth. The management may be satisfied with current level of performance, and therefore performance modest growth. Okay, The organization may be resistant to changes and therefore prefers only modest growth. Now let's move on to your next topic, that is expansion strategy. What is this expansion strategy? Wherein the company where the company or the business wants to expand, in which growth is obtained by increasing the number of stores in which the customer can buy a company's products and services. For example, Samsung has a number of mobile stores from which the customer can buy the products and services. So here you are opening different stores in different locations, maintaining your current business locations. Okay, next, what are the types of expansion strategy? It is enhanced sales and products in existing markets. Now you have good sales and good products. Okay, so you have, suppose you have Samsung S10 Plus. That is a very nice product, and you also have a craze for that product. So this particular product has expanded its market share, and also there are a lot of sales for this particular product. Next, introduce a new product. Now suppose for example, OnePlus wants to introduce a new product. Okay, so you can go on for expansion strategy. So now OnePlus 8 is coming into existence, so you can go on for introduction of new product strategy. You can go for expansion strategy. Or in case if you want to develop a new market segment, or in case if you want to move into a new geography. Why do you want to develop a new market segment or move into a new geography? Is basically because you want to target a different segment of customers. You want, suppose you are only focusing in Bangalore. Okay, now you want to move into a new geographical region, that is Chennai, because you want to serve those customers also. You based on their taste and preferences. Next, you have a starter chain. Now suppose starter chain, this is in terms of service. Okay, suppose in case of a particular business or service, suppose you have a restaurant in Bangalore. Now you want to open a chain in Chennai or Maharashtra or anything as such, for example. Next, you have franchise or license. Franchise or license. Franchise is basically, McDonald's is the best example, wherein it is a franchise. Okay, wherein you can opt for a license and you can open the franchises. For example, you have Coffee Day, you have McDonald's, wherein everything will be standardized. You will only open a chain of it. Next, you have strategic alliance. Here it is basically again a merger or acquisition, wherein two companies are combining with each other to expand your customer base or increase your intellectual capital and deliver operational efficiencies. Next one is go global. Go global is basically, for example, Sriraj Lassi Bar. One unit is in India and one unit is also available in Dubai, right? So you want to serve the global customers also based on their taste and preferences, and by expanding their market share and growth to increase profitability. Next topic is merger strategy. What is this merger strategy? Merger and acquisition are basically known as to be a single terminology, right? Whenever you say merger, you also say acquisition. So it is basically a single terminology which is used when you're combining two or more companies together. Okay, now why is this merger strategy? Is basically in order to again enhance your market share, to take economic advantage, to take your resource advantage, or etc. Now reasons for merger is basically monopoly. Monopoly is wherein only a single person is operating in the entire market, wherein he's acting like a king in the market, and he's setting prices based on his own based on however he feels like. He can either charge high prices or moderate prices or whatever it is. So one reason is monopoly. Second reason is economies, that is your research and development, or it could be your GDP, or it could be your goods and services, or in case if you want to increase your bargaining strength, or in case if you want to increase your market share. Okay, next one is other motives. What will be your other motives? If you want to get income tax advantage, if you want to get diversification advantage, if you want to build an empire, or in case increase the market share. Okay, next one is adducing management inefficiencies. Adducing management inefficiencies is nothing but you are replacing an inefficient management with an efficient management. Suppose you have employees who are not at all worthy. Okay, they're simply getting paid, and suppose they're only having BCom degree. You are replacing these BCom people with the people who have BCom with certified courses. So they will be able to perform very well. Next, you have merger and acquisition in India. So again, it is just similar as to how they are working, and you need to just know about the GDP and growth rate. Just read through. Okay. Next one is distinction between merger and acquisition. Merger and acquisition. In merger, it will happen only when you have two similar organizations. Acquisition is wherein one organization is taking over the other organization. Okay. Next one, you have both organization stocks as in merger, both organization stocks are submitted and new stock is issued. But whereas in acquisition, the acquiring organization swallows the business of acquired organization and acquiring organization stock continues to be traded. Next, the term purchase is also called as merger. When top level managers with similar interest join together, okay, similar interest, they are joining together. Whereas in acquisition, when the organization deal is unfriendly, it leads to purchasing of organization. Here you are completely purchasing it, whereas there they are joining together. For example, for merger is basically Transocean and Global Santa. The top oil drilling companies merge to consolidate their position in fast growing market. They are coming together with the main objective of growing their market position. Now in acquisition, your Google is acquiring Postini to introduce services of message security. Here he is acquiring, he is not getting merged with it, he is acquiring the other company. Now next, moving on to your next topic, you have a retrenchment strategy. Okay, now in your retrenchment strategy is basically a strategy which is used by corporations to reduce the diversity or the overall size of operations of a particular company. Okay, they retrenching, you are reducing the overall size of operations of a particular company. Now what the types of retrenchment strategies are: turnaround strategy. Okay, a turnaround strategy is basically here turn around, you are turning things around, okay, backing out, withdrawing or retreating from a decision wrongly taken earlier. Basically there will be a decision which will be wrongly taken, you are now backing out from that particular decision. This is called as turnaround. So suppose you always say, right, this friend of mine turned around, she just showed me her true colors. This is called as turnaround strategy. Okay, there are certain conditions or indicators which point out at the turnaround. Okay, these are various signs, danger signs. Okay, why you exactly go on for turnaround strategy, these are certain signs. Okay, there will be low morale of employee, high turnover of employee. High turnover is basically the employees will be completely absent, declining in market share, continuous losses, then negative cash flow, over manpower, there will be the manpower will be more than actually required. So these are certain things because of which you will go on for turnaround strategy. Next, you have disinvestment strategy. Disinvestment strategy involves the sale or liquidation of a portion of business or major division. Okay, a portion of business will be sold or it could be liquidated. Now, why is this disinvestment strategy adopted? Is basically here the business cannot get integrated within the company, or in case if there is continuous negative cash flow, if there is any financial problem in the organization, if the firm is unable to face the competition, or in case if the firm is not able to meet up the technological changes, or in case a better alternative investment is alternative is available for investment. Next, you have liquidation strategy. Now what is this liquidation strategy? Is basically you are closing down the entire firm and selling its asset, closing down the entire firm and you are selling its asset. It is considered as most extreme and the last resort. Okay, why is this company doing this? Because here you see that there is high competition. Because here, in case if the company is completely closing down, it will know. You can easily know, right? Basically, because the company does not have market share, or either the company would have failed, or there is high competition, or the company's products and process are not acceptable by the customers. They are not able to serve the customer needs, or they are becoming unprofitable. They do not have profits. Now next, let's move on to the next topic, that is restructure strategy. Okay, restructure strategy is nothing but it is about how drastic or fundamental internal change that alters relationship between different components or elements of an organization. This is within the organization, how the company is restructuring itself. Okay, how the company or organization is restructuring itself. Now what are the characteristics of restructure strategy? Is effective cash management, cash generation, stay bonus, lowering of cost, negotiating effectively, and research and development. Next, you have levels of strategy. That is, you have operating strategy. What is operating strategy? Is basically companies and organization which are into making products and delivering it for profit or not for profit rely on handful of process to get their products manufactured properly and delivered on time. Okay, this is kind of operating strategy wherein they're making sure all the operations are carried out effectively and the products are getting delivered on time. Now next moving on, you have functional level strategy. Functional level strategy is basically how it relates to single functional operation and the activities that are involved within them, how you're taking decisions for different functional level. It could be your for example, you have marketing strategy. A functional strategy can be subdivided into how in marketing. Okay, marketing is a very wide field, right? In marketing you have sales, you have promotion, distribution, etc. How this marketing can be divided into a functional strategy, which can be subdivided into promotion, sales, distribution, pricing, with each sub functions strategy contributing to a functional strategy. Next, you have business level strategy. In business level strategy, it is related to those organizations which have business, and each business is treated as strategic business unit. Okay, for example, Reliance Industry Limited operates in textile, fabric, yarns, fabric, fibers, and variety of petrochemical products, right? So for each group, the nature of market in terms of customer, competition, and market channel differs. Yes, different products and different things in which they are operating is they'll have different customers, different retailers, different suppliers, and everything will be different. Okay, so this is business level strategy. Lastly, you have corporate level strategy. In corporate level strategy, it occupies the highest level of strategic decision making and covers actions dealing with the objective of firm acquisition and allocation of resources and coordination of strategies. How you are coordinating your strategies. It is a corporate level strategy at a corporate level. Okay, here top management of the organization will make decisions. The nature of strategic decisions tends to be value oriented. What will be the value? It will be completely value oriented, conceptual. It will have a concept and it will less concentrate than decision at the business or at the functional level. Okay. Next, you have competitive analysis. Now, this competitive analysis is nothing but how effective it is. Okay, how are your competitors in the market? How you're gaining advantage of your competitors? How you're offering to your customers? How you're gaining market share? How you're increasing profits? How you are getting return on investments, and etc. Next, you have essence of competitive advantage. Essence of competitive advantage, I would say just read through because it is just one and same. How you are keeping your prices low and how you are reducing your costs and how you are attracting more number of customers. How you are able to make those customers survive in your organization. How are they loyal to your company, and how you are carrying out your production, distribution, marketing, and how you are maintaining your market share. It is all about that. Next, you have Potter's generic competitive strategies. Okay, in your Potter's generic competitive strategy, okay, I am really sorry I was not able to insert the diagram for you all. You can have it from your textbook from page 105. You can refer to Vision Book House. Okay, for the thing. Now here in your Potter's generic competitive strategy, what happens in your Potter's generic competitive strategy is here a firm's relative position within its industry will determine whether the firm's profitability is above or below the industry average. There will be an industry average will be set, and here you will get to know whether the firm's position in the industry is whether profitability is above the industry average or below the industry average. The fundamental basis of above average is, suppose if the profitability is above the industry average, then you have long term run. Okay, you will be able to sustain in the in the economy, and you will be able for a long term run. Suppose if it is below the industry average, you will be not able to run for a longer period. Okay, you will now have only short term growth and you will not have long term growth. In under this, you have two basic types of competitive advantage combined with scope of activities for which a firm seeks to achieve them lead to three generic stages. Okay, that is first one you have to, okay, what are here it is basically talking about two basic types of competitive advantage. He is talking about what competitive advantage you can get from these particular things, and you can get it from cost leadership, okay, differentiation and focus. These are the things from which you can, okay, you can see here three generic stages: cost leadership, differentiation and focus. Now firstly, talking about cost leadership. Cost leadership is basically a strategy that is finding ways to lower your cost structure. Yes, any organization, if you want to survive, you need to reduce your cost, okay, which will provide you a competitive advantage wherein you learn higher profits and you will be able to sell products and achieve a lot of customers in and you will be able to keep the loyalty of the customers as well. Now, under your cost leadership strategy, it usually targets a broad market. Okay, here you are acquiring strategy development, candidate qualification, and screening. If you look into the diagram, you will be able to understand. Okay, just read through the diagram and let me know if you have any doubts. I will explain you the diagram in brief. Suppose, for example, we can do this in Zoom class. We can just take this one topic in case we are not able to understand. Now, Potters points out five various points on cost leadership. Okay, it basically takes into consideration cost leadership will take into consideration the following thing, that is aggressive construction of effective scale facilities. Okay, and next one is vigorous pursuit of cost reduction, continuously reducing cost from experience. Tighten the cost and overhead control. You should reduce the cost, or you should also control the cost of inventories and tighten the cost. Avoidance of marginal customer accounts. Minimize cost in areas like research and development, services, sales force, advertising, and etc. Now, cost can be reduced in two ways. Cost can be reduced in two ways. What are these two ways? You are controlling cost drivers to reduce cost. What will be the cost drivers? It will be economies of scale, experience curve, cost of key reduces, resource sharing, outsourcing, capacity utilization, first mover advantage, and operating decision. These are a few things which will be driving the cost. And next you have revamping value chain to reduce cost. You are revamping value chain is nothing but bypass some cost producing activities. It is basically cost can be driven by revamping value chain through how you are shifting your complete business to e-business. Okay, you are going in for direct marketing. You are simplifying your product design. Okay, bypass high cost materials. What you are doing is basically you are avoiding high cost materials. You are reducing the cost of materials. You relocate facilities. You are making sure that different warehouses are set in a place wherein you are reducing your transportation cost. Okay, and you are also re-engineering. Now next you have various risks which is involved in the cost leadership. The various risk which is involved is cost leadership. Cost is lost, and low cost segments and competition. Okay, these are the few things which has several risks. Next you have Potter's 5 forces model. Potter's 5 forces model basically talks about threats of new entrants. Threats of new entrants is basically under your threats of new entrants here, new entrants in an industry are important. Yeah, basically see, suppose me and you, if we want to start up a particular business, we will also be a new entry in a particular business, so we are also a threat to the existing competitors, right? So here there will be a various intensity of competitive rivalry in an industry generally increases. Here rivalry will increase because suppose now even you are planning to come up with a particular mobile phone. There are already various existing mobile phones, so you will be a rival to them. You can even come up with a substitute products just like OnePlus. You can have everything just similar to OnePlus and you can just change the name. You can just create a substitute product, so you will be a rival to them, right? Now there'll be a threat to new entrant. Now why will be the threat to new entrant? The seriousness of the new entrants will be affected by two factors. Okay, that is first one you will see, that is the barriers of entry. Second is expected reaction. What will be the expected reaction from the potential for retaliation by incumbent companies in the industry? So what will be your reaction from the existing companies? Now what are the barriers to the entry? You will have product differentiation. Product differentiation is nothing but here you will have different products which will be available. Okay, customers may perceive that products offered by existing companies in the industry are unique. As a result, offered effective advertising campaigns or being first to offer a particular product or service. For example, if you take into consideration OnePlus 8, it is very different when compared to any other product. It has different features. It is a very good in terms of marketing, and it also has a greater market share, and loyalty of customers is also there. Next, economies of scale is basically economies of scale indicates relationship between quantity produced and unit of cost. As the quantity of the product produced during a given time in a period increases, the cost of manufacturing in the unit decreases. Okay, how you're going, economies of scale is basically how you're going to cut down your cost cost and set prices effectively, wherein the prices of a particular product, wherein the particular product is affordable by various segments of the society, whether it could be high class, middle class, or low class, which segment you're targeting. Based on that, how you are setting a particular product and how you are getting economies of scale. Next, you have capital requirements. In your capital requirements, what is happening is basically when you're starting a new business, you will have to conduct certain research and development. When you're conducting research and development, you will incur cost. You will have human resource, you will have various working capital, you will have to promote your business products, infrastructure, etc. Now, how you start off and how you manage your business cost is very important, and how you will maintain your sufficient funds, this plays a very important role. Next, you have switching of cost. Okay, switching of cost is basically it is borne by companies from switching from Microsoft. Okay, for example, here switching cost have to be borne by companies for switching from Microsoft Windows to other operating system, creating entry barriers. Okay, basically switching cost is basically nothing but here you are retooling of the equipment. Okay, it's a psychological cost of changing relationships. Now it is basically to offset the threat of new entrants. You're just trying to avoid the new entry threat. They're just trying to avoid the businesses from entering into the market. Next, you have access to distribution channel. It is nothing but how you're going to distribute your products and how this could basically create an entry to the barrier to the entry. Next, you have cost disadvantage and independence of sale. Okay, after which you have government policy and branding. Cost disadvantage independent of scale is nothing but how various existing companies in the industry, how they are often able to achieve cost advantage that cannot be costless or duplicated by new entrants other than those. Next, you have government policies. How the government policies can become a threat to the barrier to the new entry. Next, you have branding. How you need to come up with quality and how you need to create the brand image in the customers. This plays an important role. Next, you have bargaining power of buyers. Now, you should also, when the companies are competing in an industry, they need to seek to maximize their return on invested capital, right? And what is the bargaining power and how you need to reduce the cost, how you need to maximize the value. You need to know the customers bargaining for higher quality, okay? And what are the prices that are actually preferred by the customers. All of these has to be taken into consideration. Okay, you should set in such a way that that your customers remain yours. They do not shift to any other product. Okay, in that case, you will lose out on your customers and you lose out on your market share. The threat of substitute products, as we all know, we have substitute products. For example, you have Oppo, you have Lenovo, you have Redmi, and all of these have a similar operating system within them, processor. It's just that the names are different. They have substitute products wherein they are offering same quality. For example, you have which is that phone? You have Vivo 11, which came up, okay, which had a pop-up camera. It is just like OnePlus 7 Pro, which had a pop-up camera. So you have threat of substitute products, which will tend to confuse the customers. Then and these substitute products, suppose OnePlus 7 Pro is priced at 54,000. Similar product with same features, Vivo will offer it for 20,000. Okay, this is a threat of substitute products. Next one, you have bargaining power of suppliers. Bargaining power of suppliers here is basically the supplier segment of the industry is dominated by few large companies, as more concentrated than the industry to which it sells. Here, the bargaining power of suppliers depends on suppliers' economic bargaining power relative to companies competing in the industry. Here, suppliers are basically those people who are acting as an intermediary between the manufacturer and the consumers. Okay, they are very more powerful. When company is profitable, it reduces its suppliers' action. Okay, suppliers can exert their power by raising prices or restricting the quantity or quality of goods which will be available for sale. You will have various retail shops or things which will make the product available. So this is the bargaining power of suppliers, wherein the suppliers will demand for a higher profit or anything as such. That is depending. Next, you have intensity of rivalry among competitors. Intensity or rivalry is common, okay, among competitors, and how you deal with it and how you come up continuously innovate your product and how you maintain your market share. It all is about that. So thank you, girls. We are done with your third chapter, that is strategic planning. Any doubts, please get back to me. Thank you so much.